Hi there, hope you're having a good day. Welcome back to another video. You already know what shoe we're talking about today. I found this to be one that you can easily hate on, but ironically, I actually really enjoy playing in them. I'll explain exactly why. This is the Nike KD16. So the KD16 comes in at a retail price of 150 US dollars. Well, this colorway is 150 bucks. The red colorway goes for like 10 bucks more. Mid to high tier pricing. I wanted to say this, over the past like however many models, my first KD was the KD6. To me, the KD line has always been the shit, you know. Out of the Nike basketball lineup, price-wise, technically there's always the LeBrons, Air Jordans being the most premium. Kyrie's, now the newest signature lines below it being more affordable. But the KDs have been very performance-driven, unique, and loaded with good tech. On this model, it just didn't really pack a powerful punch to me as a consumer, ever since I first got it in hand. That's why I said I could easily just blast it for being too plain and simple. But funny enough, looking at each performance aspect, I also couldn't find a spot where I would just call it bad. Anyways, so much to discuss here. Let's get right into some details. They come in a very simple box with his signature. You can see that they're really going with this mechanical theme on this model because the traction pattern is also a bunch of these gears, which we'll get into soon. On the first look, Air Penny 2 vibes. We've talked about that before. Just a small Nike swoosh placed close to the heel. And this big plastic piece that sort of guards the upper is pretty soft actually, not a hard plastic. Some textile mesh on the toe box. There's also a synthetic overlay throughout the upper. Instead of full-length zoom strobo, they went with a bottom-loaded air unit up front with air strobo covering the rest at the back. This black and purple colorway comes in a solid rubber outsole. The mechanical pattern, I was a little skeptical about its performance, but I can tell you now that dust pickup, getting to a hard stop, no problems. I'm guessing that the translucent outsole might pick up dust more easily, but this rubber does feel pretty sturdy in hand. An average amount of padding, very good torsional support, and weight is right around average. About 430 grams for size 10.5. A tiny bit heavier than the KD15. Not too light, not a heavy shoe either. As to how the KD16 performs on the court, cushion is not necessarily a downgrade from previous KD shoes that feature full-length zoom strobo. So with this shoe, it's not one that you can immediately feel the responsiveness on feet, or it takes some time to appreciate it, I should say, especially with the forefoot cushion. So suppose you try it out in store, it might even be a little underwhelming at first, but just after a few pickup games, I actually remembered getting a pretty springy effect off of the forefoot while I was playing in them, like a nice subtle bounce. The heel is also quite soft. Landings are not too stiff. You might be able to tell from those compression marks there. Traction is a similar experience, just like the cushioning setup. What I mean is that unlike the KD15 and the KD14, where the grip is absolutely insane, to a point where like you can just hear the rubber squeak even if you're just slowly walking on the court. This also on the 16 isn't as crazy of a stop, but traction performance is still excellent. I had no issues on a clean or dusty court. On a very clean court, the bottom stayed immaculate. Very minimal dust pickup. And obviously the harder test was on a dusty floor, and it worked well too. I didn't experience any slipping or anything. With the fit, I went true to size. I also tried on a pair going half size up. I feel like you can really go with either option, depending on your preference. True to size will be a tight and snug fit. Lengthwise, it runs a little bit short, but you do get a somewhat secure fit with the toes right at the edge. If you prefer more room inside, then half size up is probably better. Here, maybe it isn't obvious, but the heel shape is still not the best against heel slippage. It might be snug in the toe box, but heel lockdown just doesn't catch up. Now, just a reminder that, once again, this is a KD shoe, and that means they're still more ideal for those who have medium to narrow feet. This time, the toe box shape sort of opens up towards the midfoot area. It's a little bit more spacious than the KD15, but it's almost deceiving because this is still nowhere near a wide foot friendly shoe. Materials, the toe box mesh sort of reminds me of the outsole 11 because it would start to fold over time. Like the wrinkles didn't really affect the comfort, but it's just not the best type of materials. Also, my feet were heating up fairly quickly, so breathability isn't very good, especially compared to shoes that have a thin or open mesh upper. Stability, lateral containment, no problems whatsoever. Great core feel, and again, they do break in nicely over time. Overall, the KD16 is a solid performer. That's the term that I ended up with. Solid, but not exceptionally good. If we simply pick out traction and cushion, two of the most important aspects to a lot of people, I say the KD15 might be better in both. They're still more ideal for narrow feet, but with the 16, I had a much easier time breaking it in, and it really did check the box in most aspects. Breathability is a concern though. That's pretty much my take on it. A shoe that gives you a little bit of everything is technically a good shoe, I guess. But I'd be very curious to see what the verdict is on these from you guys. So please let me know your thoughts on the KD16 down below. We're always okay with some debate in the comment section. Who knows, maybe one of the accounts will be KD himself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.